everybody, CW here. I want to talk about these new adapter plugs, expansion plugs that NOE is producing. They work with the Lee charging dies. They work with the universal sizing die as well. The difference is the universals have the same looking inserts as these, but a different shape. And what I mean by that is they're just a taper, okay? They just offer you a flare for your case mouth. So you use them in place of the middle die in a 3-die set for pistol, and they flare the case so that you can seat a bullet easier. You know, make a trombone shape on the end of your brass. So they work fine, and that's what a lot of manufacturers have used forever. But quite a while ago, Lyman came out with something called the M die. And I've done a video on it, and you can look back, and I'll probably link to it in the description for this one, so you can go back and look at that if you want to. But basically what it is, let me get my knife open here so that we can point good. Here's one of the new NOE plugs that take the place of the Lee universal plugs. And what they do is they're tapered down here, so they go right into the brass nice and easy. And then the diameter, you buy them in the diameter that you want them. So it's going to flare the case and the length you want them. These are by caliber as well as by diameter. So let's say this is 45. This happens to be 4.58, so it's a rifle. You could buy this in 4.52 and 4.54 for the 45 smaller 45s, the 4.52s, 4.51s. And this section here is going to be shorter. The reason for that is 4.58, the bullets are all going to be pretty good size, long, 300 grains plus. You're really, 300 grains is probably the smallest weight that you're going to find for a 4.58 bullet, generally speaking. But they're going to go up to 500 or more grains. So a 500 grain bullet, 4.58 diameter, is going to go down in the case quite a bit. So this is going to flare the case down. It's going to expand the case down. So it's going to adjust and set your retention, the diameter of the brass that's holding your bullet. And then it's going to flare just a little bit more in this middle step. So let's just say your case is sized, a 4570 case is sized down to a 4.55, 4.56, something like that. Well, your bullets are 4.58. So this will open it up to probably 4.58, 4.57. So that you get 1/1000th of restriction on your bullet. It's going to be constant because it comes from the inside. When you size your bullets on straight wall dies, it's only done by the outside. And that's going to be determined by the thickness of your brass. So if you're sizing the outside of the brass to a point and you've got inconsistent wall thicknesses of your brass, and don't think of that as a negative, you've got Federal brass, you've got Winchester brass, you've got Remington brass. They're not all going to be the same. They're different manufacturers. You're going to find some are maybe 10 or 12 thousandths thick, some are up to 15, 17 thousandths thick. But you're only sizing the outside. So that means your neck tension, the amount of grip on your bullet, is going to vary for all those different pieces of brass. This is part of the reason why all your most accurate loads are always done with like fired cases from the same lot numbers, from the same manufacturers. Consistency. Consistency has always been key to the most accurate loads. So the more consistent you can make things, the better accuracy potential you have. So what this is going to do for you is it's blind to the thickness of your case necks. So like I say, you've got 13, you've got 15, you've got 17 thousandths walls. You're sizing them in a die that only sizes the outside of the brass, squeezes it down to the diameter that the die is. This opens up the inside where the bullet goes to be consistent. So your neck tension is going to be consistent. And you can buy this in a number of different sizes. So if you're loading 460 cast bullets, you can buy this in a larger size so that those cast bullets are not going to flare out your brass so much. They're not going to leave indentations in it. They're going to seat better. You're going to get more consistent neck tensions. Now, there is limitations because of your chamber. So if you're making everything big from the inside and it's too big on the outside, it's not going to fit in your chamber. So you're going to have to experiment and know what your chamber is to be able to know what you're going to be able to seat for bullets. Because you can get to the point where, you know, which is the problem with some calibers, you can get a bore that's going to require you to have a certain diameter bullet to shoot good or well or properly. But that bullet may not even fit in your chamber. And that was a big problem with calibers like the 3855. Some of those rifles, chambered in 3855, would have bores of 384, 382, requiring a 383 or 385 bullet. Well, the factory chambering for that, most, you know, universally accepted chambering for that is 377, 378. So when you're sending a 378 bullet down a 385 bore, you're going to get leading, you're going to get tumbling, you're going to get inaccuracy, you're going to have problems with accuracy, major. So you size a bullet to your bore. Fit is king. It's always been king, especially with cast bullets. So this is going to help you in those regards. Now, if you're way out of whack, like I just said, with, you know, a bore that only is going to, a chamber that's only going to take a 380 bullet, and you need a 385 bullet in the case of the 3855, you're going to have to ream that throat in order to allow you to get a bullet that's going to fit. This isn't going to do that for you. This is just going to work with what you've got. But you can buy these, like we've got here, 459 by 455. What that means is this is opening your case mouth to 459 diameter for a length of 0.455 long. So that's going to be a good sized bullet. You know, a 400 grain bullet is going to have a good amount of room in the top of the case to seat down properly so that it can fit in the case without overworking the brass. Some of the flaring dies, they trumpet the end of the brass, and if you're not setting it up carefully, you can really overwork the mouth of that brass, pushing it back and forth, and you know what happens to any kind of metal when you start bending it back and forth, well, it breaks and cracks. This is the reason that annealing is such a good thing for brass, because it helps remove all that work hardening. Well, if you can cut down on the amount of movement your brass has to make, you're cutting down on the changes in the work hardening that your brass gets, which means it's more consistent. Again, consistency is accuracy. So that's what these things are going to do for you. This is a duplication of the Lyman M die, and it sizes in steps instead of doing a big flare. Now, if you keep going all the way up this last taper, you will get to a point where you can get a flare. So you can overwork this and go all the way up onto here, and you're going to get a flare if that's what you wanted for some reason. But that's not what it's designed for. So you set this up to go, your brass to come all the way up here, hit this first step, go over this first step, and then stop, and then try your bullet. Granted, more than likely your bullet's going to set right in. It's also going to give you a nice shoulder on your brass. So when you seat that bullet in, it's going to be straight and square. So no more tipping and lopsided bullets to be going into the cases crooked, leaving a bulge on one side of the case or the other. I really like these. I'm going to do a couple more videos. This is just to introduce it to you. I'm going to do a couple more videos showing these being used, and I'm going to show it with the universal charging die, which is the one most people have. This is a short charging die, and this is a long charging die. They're basically the same thing, minus the length. So some cartridges are going to work better with a short because of the size of the case, and some are going to need a long because of the length of the case. And then you can buy these over travel rings. These go inside, and they take up a little bit of space when it's needed. And you can buy plugs to double up. So you'll notice when you open up your die that it's going to have 2 different sized plugs in it. They're going to be tapered. So you're going to have something from 22 to, say, 30. And then you're going to have something from 30 to, say, 45, or 35 to 45. And what they'll do is they fit inside each other, and they both go inside the die, and you just end up using one end. So it needs the length to make it work. Well, these don't have that length, so they sell these universal ones. So you buy these, and they're cheap. I think these are $8 a piece, and these are like $5 a piece or $6 a piece. And you can buy them in a double pack like I've done here. A 2-pack. See? 2. And it saves you a few dollars. But you're going to need this because some calibers are going to be longer and you're going to need this extension. So I'll go through and maybe I'll even show you the website and show you what you need to get. But for the price of a couple dollars here and a couple more, $5-6 here, you get these along with it. You can even get the dies from Al. He has the dies too, and they're priced really well. They're not expensive. Lee dies are not expensive. So it works really good, and it makes a pretty good product way better. Now I just have 5 different calibers here. I've got a whole bunch more coming. I don't know why it was split ship, but he sent part of them here and sent part of them another package. So maybe he didn't have them in stock. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but it doesn't matter because we got enough here that we can do what we want to do. The 458 was the one I wanted first for that 458 2-inch, and I'll show you that in the next video. So there you go. This is a product from NOE, available on his website for a better way to flare your cases, not to overwork them, better fit for your bullets, should be better accuracy. It's going to be more consistent. It's a better product than just flaring them. So something you may want to look at. God bless everybody.